When we look at life, we see that everything is connected through vibration, through sound, through intention. Every word you speak has the power to build or to destroy, to open or to close doors. And so when we speak sacred words, when we recite psalms, we are not only reading poetry, we are aligning ourselves with a frequency that has been carried for centuries. The psalm is more than text. It is a seed of energy. And when you place this seed inside your mind and heart, when you water it with your voice, you awaken a force that can change your reality. Financial breakthrough is not simply about money. It is about freedom, balance, and the ability to live fully without the chains of constant worry. But the question is not, does the psalm work? The question is, do you allow the psalm to work through you? Because true transformation does not happen from outside in, it begins from within. As the words are spoken, they begin to shape the way you think, the way you feel, the way you act. And this is why I say, speak this psalm, not once, not mechanically, but with full presence. Speak it with the heart. Because when words and heart unite, what seems impossible becomes possible. When we are born into this world, the first thing that is noticed about us is our breath and the sound that follows. A cry, a vibration, a declaration of existence. This is the beginning of your life's sound. And throughout your life, you will use words to shape, to direct, and to influence not only the people around you, but also the energy of the universe that flows through you. The power of the spoken word has been misunderstood by many. People believe words are light, that they pass into the air and disappear. But this is not true. Every word is a carrier of energy. It is like a stone thrown into still water. The ripples move outward, touching everything they encounter. And so every time you speak, you create ripples in your own mind, in your relationships, in your destiny. In the Shaolin way, we are taught to pay close attention to the breath, because the breath carries life. But just as the breath sustains the body, the word sustains the mind. If your words are harsh, your mind becomes harsh. If your words are compassionate, your mind becomes compassionate. And if your words are rooted in faith, then faith begins to grow stronger in you. This is the foundation of why speaking sacred text, such as a psalm, is so powerful. When you speak a psalm, you are not merely repeating sounds, you are aligning yourself with an ancient vibration that has been carried across generations. Imagine for a moment, thousands of voices across centuries repeating the same words with devotion, with hope, with belief. This builds an energy that does not disappear. It remains in the collective field. And when you speak the psalm, you connect yourself to this energy. It is like plugging into a current of light that has been flowing long before you arrived. The power of spoken word lies not only in its sound, but also in the intention you place behind it. When you speak without presence, your words are empty. But when you speak with awareness, when you allow your heart to guide the sound, then the word becomes alive. It carries weight. It changes something inside you. And as it changes you, it begins to change the world around you. Financial breakthrough or any form of breakthrough begins first with your internal state. If you constantly speak words of lack, you will strengthen the vibration of lack within yourself. If you say to yourself, I will never have enough, then your mind begins to believe this story. And what the mind believes, the body follows. You will act in ways that confirm your belief. You will close your eyes to opportunities because you are convinced they are not meant for you. But if you speak words of abundance, if you allow yourself to repeat the psalm of provision, then your mind begins to shift. It becomes fertile ground for possibilities. You start to see doors where previously you only saw walls. You begin to take actions that align with growth because you believe that growth is possible. This is the silent power of your words. They shape the lens through which you see the world. Some people ask, but can words alone bring money into my hands? And the answer is both yes and no. Words spoken without belief, without repetition, without alignment will fall like seeds on hard ground. But words spoken with faith, with conviction, with discipline, these words are like seeds planted in fertile soil. Over time they grow, they attract opportunities, they inspire actions, they invite blessings. This is why in many traditions, affirmations and mantras are repeated daily. The repetition is not about superstition, it is about shaping the subconscious mind. When you hear your own voice speak words of abundance again and again, the walls of limitation inside you begin to crumble. The inner dialogue of fear and scarcity grows weaker, and a new inner dialogue of courage and openness emerges. The power of the spoken word is also tied to the breath. When you speak, you exhale. This is why speaking is not only mental, it is physical. You release energy from within. If your breath is shallow and your words are scattered, the effect is weak. But if your breath is deep, your body grounded, and your words clear, the vibration is strong. In this way, when you speak a psalm with full breath and presence, you are sending out a message not only into the air, but also into your own nervous system. Your entire being begins to resonate with the words. There's a teaching in Zen, what you say becomes the house you live in. Reflect on this deeply. Your words are like bricks. With each word, you are building the walls of your inner house. If the words are filled with despair, the house becomes a prison. If the words are filled with faith, the house becomes a temple. Which house are you living in right now? Which house do you want to create? When you understand this, you will no longer speak carelessly. You will treat your words as sacred tools. You will see that a word can wound, but it can also heal. A word can close a door, but it can also open one. And when you speak a psalm, you are not just building a house for yourself, you are inviting light into it. You are opening windows for divine energy to enter. So if you are seeking financial breakthrough, begin with your words. Speak not from a place of desperation, but from a place of trust. Let your voice carry faith. Even if your mind has doubts, the mind will learn to follow the voice, and let your practice be consistent. Speak the psalm daily, not as an obligation, but as an offering. With each repetition, you are strengthening the vibration of abundance within you. In time, you will notice the shift. Your thoughts become lighter, your decisions clearer, your actions more aligned. The world outside will begin to reflect the transformation happening inside. This is the mystery of the spoken word. It begins with sound, but it ends in reality. So, guard your words. Choose them wisely. Speak them with presence. And remember, when you speak this psalm, you are not just reciting ancient poetry. You are activating a living force that has the power to unlock doors you thought were forever closed. When you hear the word psalm, perhaps you think of it as poetry, as prayer, or as part of a religious ritual. But when we look more deeply, when we strip away the layers of form and see with clarity, we begin to recognize that a psalm is not simply a collection of words. It is a code that speaks to both the conscious and the subconscious mind, a code that connects the human heart with the vast intelligence of the universe. In Shaolin teaching, there is a saying, behind the form, there is essence, behind the movement, there is stillness. The same applies to the psalm. Behind the arrangement of words lies an energetic pattern. Just like numbers in mathematics create structures, words in sacred texts create frequencies. And these frequencies are not random. They are carefully arranged to awaken certain states of consciousness within you. Think of it like a lock and a key. Each lock is designed to open with a specific pattern. If you have the wrong key, the lock does not open. No matter how hard you try, the psalm is like such a key. It is designed to unlock something hidden inside of you, a state of trust, of peace, of faith, of abundance. And when you repeat this psalm with awareness, you are inserting the key into the lock of your own heart and mind. Slowly the lock begins to turn and doors that were once closed begin to open. What is this door? It is the door to alignment. When you are aligned internally, your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions begin to move in the same direction. Without alignment, you are like a person rowing a boat with one oar forward and the other backward. You stay in place or you move in circles. Alignment creates flow. And when you are in flow, opportunities that once seemed invisible suddenly appear. Financial breakthrough, success, fulfillment. They are all outcomes of alignment. The psalm functions as a spiritual code because it carries within it layers of meaning. On the surface, the words may speak of provision, protection, or blessing. But on a deeper level, these words are reminders of universal truths, that abundance exists, that support is always present, and that you are not separate from the source of life. When you speak these words, you are not just telling yourself a story, you are activating these truths within your subconscious. Consider this. Your subconscious mind is like fertile soil. Whatever is planted there will grow, whether it is fear or faith, scarcity or abundance. Most people unknowingly plant seeds of limitation every day. They tell themselves, I cannot, I am not enough. There is never enough for me. These words become codes too, but codes of imprisonment. They create patterns of thought that repeat again and again, trapping you in cycles of struggle. The psalm interrupts this cycle. It introduces a new code, the code of freedom, the code of abundance, the code of trust. And because the psalm has been recited by countless generations, the energy behind it is strong. It is like chanting a mantra that has been carried by monks for thousands of years. The repetition builds a current, and this current supports you as you step into it. But it is important to understand, the code does not work mechanically. If you repeat the psalm without presence, it is like pressing numbers on a lock without the right sequence. Nothing changes. The code must be activated by intention, by faith, by openness. You must not only speak the words, you must allow the words to speak back to you. You must listen as much as you recite. When you treat the psalm in this way, something begins to shift in your perception. You no longer see financial breakthrough as something distant or impossible. You begin to see that it is simply the natural outcome of inner alignment. The psalm guides you to this state by changing the code inside your mind, from fear to trust, from scarcity to abundance, from limitation to possibility. Let me give you an image. Imagine your mind as a musical instrument. If it is out of tune, the sound it produces is harsh, and no matter how skillfully you play, the melody will not be beautiful. The psalm is like the hand of a master musician who tunes your strings. Once the instrument is in tune, even a simple note sounds harmonious. Likewise, once your inner state is tuned by the psalm, even small actions in daily life produce meaningful results. This is why breakthroughs begin to appear. Not because the world outside suddenly changes, but because you are finally in harmony with it. Some people ask, but why a psalm? Why not just think positively or speak affirmations? The answer is that the psalm carries collective energy. Affirmations are personal and they can be powerful, but a psalm has been charged by centuries of faith, devotion, and intention. It carries a field of energy greater than the individual. When you recite it, you are not alone. You are supported by the voices of all who have spoken it before you. This is why it works as a spiritual code. It is not just your energy, but the energy of an entire lineage of faith. And so, when you approach the psalm, approach it with reverence. See it not as a superstition or ritual, but as a precise key handed down to you. Hold it with respect and speak it with sincerity. Do not rush. Let each word land. Let the vibration of the sound travel through your body. Feel it in your breath, in your chest, in your very bones. In this way, the psalm stops being something outside of you. It becomes part of you. It becomes your code. When the psalm becomes your code, your actions naturally shift. You no longer chase money with desperation. Instead, you act from clarity, from balance, from trust. And it is this state that draws financial breakthrough to you, not through force, but through flow. The psalm has reprogrammed the code of your inner world, and the outer world responds to that code. So remember, the psalm is not just words. It is not just poetry. It is a spiritual code, the key. And the moment you speak it with presence and faith, you begin to unlock doors that were hidden in plain sight. Many people believe that financial breakthrough is something that comes from the outside. They think it is about opportunities, about luck, about being at the right place at the right time. But in truth, everything external is only a reflection of what is already inside. If there is no alignment within, then even when wealth arrives, it cannot stay. It slips away because the inner container is not prepared to hold it. When we speak about alignment, what do we mean? Alignment is when your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions are moving in the same direction. It is when the different parts of you are not in conflict with each other. Without this unity, you are like a traveler with a broken compass. No matter how much you walk, you never reach the destination, because one part of you pulls forward, another holds back, and another moves sideways. This is why many people work hard, yet see little fruit. Their energy is divided. The psalm, when spoken with presence, is not about magically pulling money into your hands. It is about restoring this inner alignment. It reminds the mind to trust. It soothes the emotions with peace, and it awakens the will to act with clarity. When these three elements come together, you are aligned. And when you are aligned, outer wealth naturally begins to follow. Think of a river. If the riverbed is blocked with stones, the water cannot flow freely. No matter how much rain falls, the water stagnates. The stones are like doubts, fears, and limiting beliefs inside you. Wealth may come, opportunities may appear, but the inner stones prevent the flow. Inner alignment is the act of removing these stones one by one until the river of life can move again. The psalm helps with this cleansing because its vibration carries light. When spoken sincerely, it shines into the corners of your heart and reveals where the stones are hiding. Some people live with a constant inner conflict. They desire wealth, but at the same time, they feel guilty about it. They want abundance, but they carry the belief that money is corrupting or that they are not worthy to have it. This conflict keeps them trapped. It is like trying to drive a car with the accelerator pressed and the brake pressed at the same time. The car does not move, and eventually the engine burns out. Inner alignment means releasing the brake. It means allowing your desire for abundance to coexist with peace and integrity. Financial breakthrough, therefore, is not a question of greed. It is not about accumulation for the sake of ego. It is about balance. To live without constant worry about money is to free yourself, to serve, to grow, to give, to live fully. But this freedom can only be attained when you have resolved the inner contradictions. Otherwise, wealth becomes a burden instead of a blessing. The psalm guides you toward this resolution. As you repeat the sacred words, they begin to wash away the beliefs of scarcity that you inherited from your family, from society, from your own past experiences. Slowly, the inner voice that says, "I am not enough," is replaced by a deeper voice that says, "I am supported." This shift is the beginning of alignment. It changes the way you perceive life. Instead of living in constant fear of lack, you begin to live with trust in provision. When alignment is established, you also begin to notice how your actions change. Before, when fear guided you, your actions were hesitant, inconsistent, or rushed. Now with trust guiding you, your actions become steady, disciplined, and wise. And this discipline is the bridge between inner alignment and outer wealth. Wealth does not fall from the sky, it grows from seeds of disciplined action. But only when those actions are fueled by inner harmony do they bring lasting fruit. Let us consider an example. A person without alignment may see an opportunity but hesitate, because doubt whispers, "What if I fail?" Or another person may take the opportunity but from a place of fear, rushing, forcing, exhausting themselves, only to burn out. In both cases, the outcome is limited. But a person with alignment sees the opportunity and feels both calm and ready. They act not out of desperation, but out of clarity. This is the difference alignment makes. In Shaolin practice, we learn that true power is never scattered. It is concentrated, it is focused, and it moves with intention. The same is true with wealth. If your energy is scattered, your wealth will also be scattered. But when your energy is aligned, wealth begins to gather around you, because you are a vessel capable of holding it. Sometimes people say, if I just had more money, my life would be better. But the truth is, if your inner world is not aligned, more money will only amplify the chaos. It is like pouring water into a cracked pot. It will leak no matter how much you pour. Inner alignment seals the cracks. It makes you whole. Only then can wealth be sustained. And so, before asking for outer wealth, first ask yourself, am I aligned within? Do my thoughts, emotions, and actions move together? Or am I divided against myself? If you find division, do not judge it. Simply return to the psalm. Speak it, let it work as a medicine for the soul. Allow it to bring your inner parts into harmony. When this happens, wealth ceases to be the main goal. It becomes a natural outcome of a deeper process. You realize that true abundance is not just measured in money, but in freedom, in peace, in purpose. And because your inner world now carries this abundance, the outer world begins to mirror it. Opportunities flow more naturally. Decisions become clearer, and the struggle that once consumed you gives way to a sense of effortless movement. Inner alignment before outer wealth. This is the principle. It is like planting before harvesting. You cannot skip the inner work and expect outer fruits to remain. But when the roots are strong, the tree will bear fruit season after season. The psalm is your water, your sunlight, your nourishment. And when you speak it with sincerity, it aligns your inner soil so that the tree of abundance can grow strong and steady. So remember, do not chase outer wealth while neglecting your inner state. Seek first alignment. Heal the conflicts within, remove the stones from the riverbed, and let the psalm be your guide in this process. For when you are aligned, wealth will come not as a burden, but as a blessing, not as chaos, but as peace. There is a simple truth that many forget. Faith without action remains only a thought, and action without faith becomes exhausting. The two must walk together, like two wings of a bird. With only one wing you cannot fly. With both you rise, and this is the essence of breakthrough. Faith combined with action. When you speak a psalm, you are cultivating faith. The words are not just sounds. They awaken trust. They awaken courage. They remind you that life is larger than your fears. But faith alone, if it remains in the mind, becomes like a dream that never takes form. It is like a seed stored away in a jar. It holds potential, but without being planted, it never grows. Action is the planting. Action is the moment when the invisible takes shape in the visible world. In Shaolin training, meditation and movement are always practiced together. We sit to still the mind, and we move to express the mind through the body. This is the balance. Meditation without movement can lead to stagnation. Movement without meditation can become aimless. Likewise, faith without action leads to wishful thinking, and action without faith leads to struggle. When they are united, both become powerful. So let us understand faith more deeply. Faith is not about blind belief. It is not about closing your eyes and hoping life will change. Faith is an inner certainty, even when the external evidence has not yet appeared. It is the ability to walk forward, even when the path is not fully visible. Speaking the psalm strengthens this certainty. It plants within you the confidence that provision exists, that abundance is possible, that you are supported. But then the question arises, what do you do with this faith? Do you sit still and wait for money to fall from the sky? No. Faith invites you to act. Faith gives you the strength to take steps you once feared to take. Faith allows you to try again after failure. Faith allows you to see opportunities where before you only saw obstacles. In this way, action is the natural expression of faith. Imagine a farmer who prays for a harvest. Every day he recites his prayer with sincerity. But if he never prepares the soil, if he never plants the seeds, if he never waters the ground, then no harvest will come. His prayer is not wasted, for it cultivates gratitude and hope within him. But without action, the field remains barren. Now imagine another farmer who works tirelessly but has no faith. He plants seeds but doubts constantly. He waters the ground but believes nothing will grow. His actions are filled with heaviness and his spirit becomes weary. Even if the harvest comes, he cannot enjoy it. But the farmer who holds faith in his heart and acts with steady discipline, this farmer sees his harvest and receives it with joy. This is the same in financial breakthrough. Speaking the psalm gives you faith, but that faith must lead you to disciplined action. You may be inspired to learn a new skill, to take a step in business, to manage your resources more wisely. Faith opens your eyes to these possibilities, and action allows them to manifest. Without action, inspiration becomes a passing thought. With action, inspiration becomes transformation. Sometimes people misunderstand faith. They think it means waiting passively for life to change. But faith is active. It is alive. It is a force that propels you forward. True faith does not make you sit idle. It makes you courageous. It gives you energy to do what you once resisted. Faith whispers, you can, and action responds, I will. In Shaolin discipline, we are taught that every repetition matters. One punch practiced without focus is nothing, but a punch practiced 1,000 times with presence transforms the body and mind. This is action, but the power behind the repetition comes from faith, the belief that each punch matters, that each step brings growth. Without that belief, the repetition feels meaningless. Without action, the belief remains untested. Together, they build mastery. Financial breakthrough also follows this principle. Each small step matters. Saving a little, learning a little, practicing discipline, these actions on their own may seem small, but when guided by faith, they accumulate. They build momentum. And one day, what began as a small seed of faith and a small act of discipline becomes a tree of abundance. Another important aspect is consistency. Faith gives you the strength to begin, but action requires perseverance. Many start with enthusiasm, but stop when results do not come quickly. They say, the psalm is not working, the faith is not working. But what they forget is that breakthrough often comes after persistence. It is like boiling water. At 90 degrees, the water is hot, but not yet boiling. At 100 degrees, it transforms. Many stop at 90, never realizing that one more degree of consistent action would have brought transformation. Faith is what keeps you moving when results are not visible. It tells you, continue. Even if the harvest has not yet arrived, Action is what gives form to that continuation. Together, they create the conditions for breakthrough. There is also a danger in relying only on action without faith. In this state, the heart becomes restless. You work, but you are always anxious. You achieve, but you never feel secure. No matter how much money you gather, it feels empty, because the inner alignment is missing. Faith brings peace into action. It transforms work from struggle into service, from anxiety into expression. With faith, every action becomes lighter, more meaningful. So if you wish to unlock financial breakthrough, do not separate what belongs together. Let the psalm awaken faith within you. Speak it daily. Let it shape your mind. Let it remind you of abundance. But then, move, take steps. Act with discipline. Align your choices with the faith you carry. In this way, you are no longer waiting for life to change. You are participating in the change. Remember, the universe responds not only to what you believe, but also to what you do. Faith calls the possibility into your life, and action makes space for it to land. If you keep one without the other, you remain incomplete. But if you unite them, you become unstoppable. So walk with both wings. Speak the psalm with faith, step forward with action, and you will discover that financial breakthrough is not a miracle outside of you. It is the natural outcome of the harmony between your belief and your behavior. Transformation is never the result of a single act. It is not the outcome of one repetition, one prayer, one moment of inspiration. Real transformation comes from consistency. It is the steady rhythm of practice, the daily returning, the quiet discipline that builds layer upon layer until change becomes inevitable. Just as a drop of water, falling again and again on stone, eventually leaves a mark, so too does your consistent practice carve a new path within you. When you speak a psalm once, it may touch your mind. When you speak it 10 times, it may touch your heart. But when you speak it daily, over weeks, months, and years, it begins to reshape your entire being. This is because consistency is not about repetition alone, it is about building a relationship. Each time you return to the psalm, you deepen the connection. The words sink further into your subconscious, and slowly they begin to live inside you. Many people make the mistake of seeking quick results. They ask, how many times should I speak the psalm before I see financial breakthrough? But this question shows impatience. It treats the psalm as a transaction, as if the universe were a shop where you exchange words for wealth. This is not the way. The psalm is not about bargaining. It is about transformation. And transformation is always a process. In Shaolin training, if a student comes and asks, how many days until I master this form? The master will smile and say, practice until it becomes you. Because mastery is not about a number, but about consistency until there is no longer separation between you and the practice. The same applies here. Speak the psalm until the words are no longer outside of you. Speak until the words become your inner voice. Consistency is powerful because it builds momentum. At first, when you begin, you may feel little change. The mind resists, the old habits of scarcity return, the doubts whisper. But each day you repeat the psalm, you are strengthening a new pathway in the brain. You are rewiring the inner code. At first, it feels fragile, like a small path through a forest. But each day you walk that path, it becomes clearer, wider, stronger. Eventually it becomes the main road, and the old path of fear grows over with weeds. This is the unseen power of daily practice. It is easy to feel inspired in a single moment. Inspiration is like a spark, but consistency is the wood that sustains the fire. Without wood, the spark dies quickly. Without consistency, inspiration fades, and you return to old patterns. This is why many people start journeys of change, but abandon them after a short while. They expect a sudden miracle, and when it does not appear, they give up. But the miracle is in the discipline. The miracle is in returning again and again until one day you look back and realize you are no longer the same. Consistency also builds trust within yourself. Each time you keep the promise to return to the psalm, you strengthen your self-belief. You prove to yourself that you can commit, that you can remain steady. This trust is essential for financial breakthrough because without it, you sabotage yourself. You may receive opportunities but fail to act because you doubt your ability to follow through. But when you have practiced consistency, you carry within you the certainty that you can stay the course. This makes you unshakable. Do not underestimate small actions done daily. A tree does not grow tall in one day. It grows quietly, invisibly through steady nourishment. In the same way, your financial breakthrough may not appear suddenly, but each day of consistent practice builds unseen roots. The psalm nourishes your mind, your faith guides your actions, and over time, the fruit appears. The world sees the fruit, but the real work was in the unseen roots built through consistency. Sometimes the practice may feel repetitive. You may think, why speak the same words again and again? But understand this, repetition is not mechanical. Repetition is deepening. It is like striking a bell. The first strike produces sound, but each strike resonates differently. Some days, the psalm will feel like a whisper. Other days, it will feel like a thunder. Each time you return, you hear something new, because you are not the same person as yesterday. The consistency reveals layers that one single repetition can never show. In Shaolin, we practice simple movements thousands of times. A kick, a stance, a breath. To an outsider, it may look boring, but to the one who practices, each repetition reveals more subtlety, more refinement, more mastery. The movement becomes alive. The same is true with the psalm. At first, it may feel simple, but with consistency, it becomes alive. It reveals its depth. It shapes your energy. Consistency is also the antidote to doubt. Doubt may say it is not working, but consistency answers, I will continue. And in continuing, doubt loses its power. Doubt is impatient. Consistency is patient. And patience always wins. Financial breakthrough is not only about sudden gain. True breakthrough is about lasting change. Without consistency, even if wealth comes, it will not stay. You may rise quickly, but you will fall quickly. Consistency builds the foundation to sustain what arrives. It makes you ready, steady, capable of holding abundance without fear. So when you speak the psalm, do not ask when the result will come. Instead, commit to the practice. Let it be part of your daily rhythm, like breath, like eating, like walking. Let it become natural. And trust that each repetition, no matter how small, is building something unseen. One day you will look back and realize that the words you spoke daily have become reality. You will see that consistency did not just create financial breakthrough. It created a new version of you. A person of discipline, of faith, of patience, and that inner transformation is the true breakthrough. The money, the opportunities, the abundance, these are the fruits, but the real gift is who you become through the practice. So do not seek quick change. Seek consistent change. Do not rely only on sparks of inspiration. Build a steady fire. For it is not the single drop that carves the stone, but the drops that fall unceasingly. And in the same way, it is not the single recitation of the psalm that transforms you, but the consistent rhythm of returning again and again until transformation is no longer something you hope for. It is something you are